Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I am Stephanie Joy with All Things Social Security and the attorney at Joy Disability. You're about to see what should be a question and answer format type of chat from our live session on a particular topic that we find that a lot of people keep asking about. So I'm sharing it here. If there are pieces that could have been added that weren't added during the live, because it's a kind of a fast-paced Q&A that we do every Wednesday at 1 p.m. You might just find that I added something to the end of it to give it a little more clarity and a little more details for those that are interested in that particular topic. So check to see if that's at the end. Otherwise, enjoy the video. Bye-bye. So we have chronic fatigue syndrome, primary anxiety and depression, past first CDR, August of 25, next diary date, July of 28, want to be prepared for their AI. Honestly, I think AI can be our friend in these situations. You want to know why? The human element, and I don't mean AI going rogue. I mean using AI tools, because they can miss something that AI can pick out, that might be something they would have missed because they're human. Imagine when it was completely human done. My goodness. So it can pull out things, I think, that are, if it's properly an app that is properly created, So I don't think we should be worrying about AI with regard to this. All right. I know everyone thinks AI is just the big boogeyman with everything. And believe me, I have my concerns about certain areas, but this just isn't one of them. I think it's going to be more of an assistant and help than anything else. So your next diary date is July of 2028. Just keep going to all of your specialists and keep complaining about, and when I say complaining, I don't mean sounding like a baby. I mean advising them on the status of the symptoms. If the fatigue makes you still nap 7 hours during the day, and then you go to bed by 7 or 8 at night, and you don't get up till 9 in the morning, and then you have 4 or 5 waking hours, whatever it is with your chronic fatigue, the effect on your ability to remember things and to keep a schedule and all that. I mean, you already prevailed, so you've got the upper hand. You just don't want to give it up by slacking with treatment. So my guess is you don't. You sound conscientious enough and concerned enough, to realize that it's an ongoing thing when you want to keep collecting any kind of insurance benefit. The proof's got to keep there. It's not like a lottery ticket where it's for life, regardless of what happens. So yeah, when it's combined impairments, you keep going to multiple treatment, providers, and yours are the kind that maybe, I don't know, you tell me, there's not really objective. That's the difficulty with these. So I'm really glad you won. I think that puts you in a good place as long as you keep up the same, probably the same level of treatment, because this isn't like a physical thing where you had to get physical therapy after a hip replacement. Obviously that's going to end, right? But yours is more of a chronic, aka chronic fatigue syndrome. So you're going to always want to keep on the protocol of whatever that is, and keep with the follow-ups, even if you think it's just like palliative, like, oh, I'm still taking my vitamins and I'm still taking this, and I do have this medication and for a little more energy and blah, blah. Keep going periodically. What's reasonable under a CDR, at least, to that specialist. I wouldn't drop it down to just primary care, and when you happen to go for your annual physical, it comes up. I wouldn't do that. That's just me. I'm a little cautious, or a little protective, I should say. Hello, Stephanie Joy with All Things Social Security. We had a Q&A with a short little clip discussion on a particular topic. So I'm going to attach it for you here. It might be something that you're interested in if you clicked on this header. And following that, we're going to go through it a little bit more. So just wanted to give you the heads up. This is where it started from, and then we'll have the bigger discussion right after. All right, chat with you later. Bye-bye. George Graham says, I'm sorry for last proxy question. Here's another proxy. Yeah, I don't like to be the proxy. I like to be the one handling the case. Here's another. Well, AI track a person on SSDI going to the gym. Well, how does AI track you? Stop that. or store. As you are aware, I had my 6th spine surgery and feeling better. I'm wheelchair something, still in a wheelchair. Yeah, no, they're not surveilling like CDIs and stuff. They are for when there is an indicator that someone may be doing something contraindicated, like working full time. Could it be if someone says, you know, I know he's whatever the report is, and I can't go into details because I've never actually seen them, but they're not just autos. Are you kidding? They couldn't do that. The resources are not there. AI is not cheap. The energy isn't even cheap. I don't even know how they're going to afford all the energy consumption. Yeah. I mean, if you want to get to a more broad discussion of how they want everyone to be on a social credit card or something like that, and have a credit, you know, not credit card. Well, they want everything digital so they can track your spending. Not the SSA, though. It's not the SSA. So I don't think we should go down the rabbit hole we don't need to go to. But if you want to be concerned about things like that generally, which is not necessarily a bad idea, look at that bigger picture of what some are trying to do with the social credit score and the ability for a government to turn off your bank when they want to. I mean, we've already had it happen. Once, you know, when we don't use cash, we are kind of, and we're only using digital ways of spending, the power to someone to press the button. People see it all the time. Remember, they were eliminating people from people that didn't speak the way some powers wanted them to speak. They closed their bank accounts, froze their funds. Some of the online payment processors that some of us use, that's very disturbing. So that's where I'd kind of direct my angst, I think. And obviously, does AI get used in every aspect of life? Yes. But I wouldn't be so paranoid about it taking time to spy on what it knows is, let's say, 99% truly disabled people, 1% not. They're not going to go daily peruse 100% of the people. Things come out, you know, that get most of the 1%. And people say, well, it's only 1%. Who cares? 1% is billions of dollars. That's why we care, of the Social Security funds. Hey, so if the subject matter of the video you just listened to is of interest and you want more on it, stay tuned. Here's another one about the same topic, but a little bit different. Bye now. Hey guys, someone was asking me, I think it was through YouTube, about surveillance and if we could do, you know, provide information on Social Security surveillance of claimants and such. Don't have all the ins and outs in front of me. However, there is a page that's been around for a while. This is not new. And it's about the CDI's, Cooperative Disability Investigation. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I will put the page down below. It'll say reference or something in the description down below, and you can read it yourself. But basically, it goes on to share, and this is from the Office of Inspector General, that it's a key anti-fraud initiative that combats fraud within the Social Security disability programs, of course. And it says it accomplishes its mission by reviewing questionable disability claims and investigating cases of suspected disability fraud in order to stop payment before it occurs or as soon as fraud is suspected. The CDI unit consists of SSA's Office of Inspector General, special agent who serves as a team leader, and personnel from the SSA, State Disability Determination Services, DDS, and state or local law enforcement partners. The CDI units combine federal and state resources and expertise to benefit not only the Social Security program, but other federal and state programs such as food and nutrition assistance, housing assistance, Medicare, and Medicaid. So they give a little bit of results. Let's see what they say. During the fiscal year 2023, so that presumably is the most recent one they have, they reported nearly $75 million in projected savings to SSA's disability programs and nearly $94 million to non-SSA programs such as Medicare, Medicaid, housing assistance, and the nutrition assistance programs, aka SNAP or food stamps. They said that and that was 2023. Fiscal year, which ends, by the way, in September of 2023 is when it ended. So it's not our particular calendar year. It's like how fiscal years often go. They go on to say that since the inception, these CDI investigations have contributed to a projected savings to taxpayers of approximately $8 billion, $4.5 billion in projected savings to the SSA's Title II, that's SSD, guys, as well as retirement and such, Title 16, which is SSI, and $3.6 billion in projected savings to those other related federal and state programs. They say, as of September 12th of 22, there are 50 CDI units covering 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, in addition to the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, American Samoa, and Northern Mariana Islands. So the SSA and the OIG worked with the state and local partners in those areas to successfully expand CDI coverage to all the 50 states. And I should say, guys, do not be concerned about CDI if you are just making a claim because you think you're disabled. It's when you, and you wouldn't do this, right? Lie, cheat, and steal. You're filing for disability, claiming you're not working, and you're working, particularly if you're working over SGA. A lot of times, sometimes people forget if they're under SGA. I don't recommend it. But sometimes people are full-blown working full-time. They're completely lying, cheating, and stealing. On our Friday Fraud Law Review, we have this sometimes, just showing some of the examples that the OIG shares to us. Let's see what they say about investigation. So they say, okay, these are short little quips, guys. Generally, the CDI units investigate suspected fraud before the agency awards benefits and support the continuing disability review and redetermination processes when fraud may be involved. CDI investigations typically begin with a report of suspected fraud from SSA, state DDS, law enforcement, or the public. And we've touched on this before. I know that sometimes a vengeful person can falsely make an accusation. I know a non-vengeful person who sees something and thinks it is fraud sometimes reports. Sometimes people think they know whether someone's disabled or not, and assuming they're not seeing the person working full time. And they'll assume, well, he looks perfectly normal. He must be, I saw him at the grocery store. He must be defrauding. Of course, that's not so. Most disabled people go to the grocery store and they're still unable to work a full-time job. But yeah, just to point out, the public sometimes does call in or report complaints of suspected fraud. And again, I think sometimes it's vengeful people, maybe an ex. Sometimes, more often than not, it might just be someone who's not into fraud. And rightly or wrongly, they might have it wrong, but they're just trying to give the word out so someone can check it out. They said that the CDI unit investigates statements and activities of the claimants themselves, medical providers, and other third parties, and obtains evidence to resolve questions of potential fraud. And upon completion of the investigation, the unit provides a detailed report of the investigation to the state DDS to use as additional documentation or evidence in making disability determination. If the CDI investigation reveals fraudulent activity, the case might also be presented to federal and state prosecutors for consideration of prosecutions, or the SSA might impose administrative sanctions. Now, we've seen the prosecutions, the guilty pleas, the indictments, and sometimes the sentencings on our Friday Fraud Law Review. 9 o'clock usually comes out. But there you have it. They give a map too, but I'm not really interested in that. Yeah, I don't see it a lot. I know I think I had one, maybe two clients long time ago, that there was something like that going on. And depending on what I see, I will usually recommend withdrawing the application. If one of them didn't have to do that, it was more like a surveillance. It wasn't like a total CDI, and there was no fraud. Whether or not the guy was fully legally disabled as he felt he was is potentially another story. So don't confuse. I just wouldn't want this to have like a chilling effect on valid applications, because you don't have to be right. Or put it this way, if you're mistaken and the SSA finds you not disabled, that does not mean you're doing fraud, nor are you going to be accused of it. You are simply denied because you didn't quite meet the threshold of evidence, okay? So, I don't want anyone to think, because you see a lot of inflammatory rhetoric out there that, oh my gosh, they're out there trying to, prove that everybody's committing fraud who applies. It is so not true. It is not true. And like I said, I think I saw it I think it might have been twice, where I don't think either one was committing fraud, but they were being surveilled. So maybe that was part of the CDI unit, having them kind of followed, but I don't think it's common. But if I find another good write-up, I will share it with you guys, but I'll get this one out now. I will talk to you later. Bye.